Hey, man, it's Dukes and Bill. What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. We got a big show today. John Talty's going to join us, talk some college football, and our buddy Brad Guzan's going to stop by as well. He's got maybe an announcement that you'll want to hear. So make sure you tune in, and we'll talk to him, Mike, about World Cup because, look, it's right around the corner, and I think it's going to be an incredible event for our country. I think it'll be incredible to have all these matches in Atlanta. But we'll ask him about his international experience and all of that. So looking forward to visiting with our old buddy, Brad Guzan.
Right on. And, United, we got Tata back, and I got to be honest, it's been so disappointing for the Five Stripes the last couple of years. See what Brad has to say about any inside scoop about how we get things turned around because, think about it, Carl, 17 and 18, man, it was huge. And it's just kind of like been like this and all the big money moves. And, ever since Darren Eales left, it's just been a different world, man. It really has. And Bocanegra for that matter.
No doubt. Meanwhile, guys, we are still talking about Michael Penix. Our buddy Zach Klein was on the Steakhouse today, as a matter of fact. And I think Zach is releasing this, Mike, like a Game of Thrones series. This was part one that he released today. And I'm like, how many parts of this interview are there? Either way, people are reacting to this Michael Penix news of when he's going to come back and what he had to say to Zach. What do you think, man?
Well, yesterday it was like, if you didn't hear the show yesterday, where were you? But we get this news and Zach puts it out there. It's like, talk to Michael Penix. He's way ahead of schedule. It's talking about April. We're like, November, January. We're like, wait a minute. Okay, well, that's great. All of a sudden, Carl and I are like, don't have to worry about, maybe bringing Cousins back, even though it would cost a fortune. Don't have to worry about that, junky quarterback, retread we're going to have as a gap guy for a couple of weeks. And then Zach, about an hour later, oh, no, it is August. It's not April. Like, what? And then he said, Michael Penix, in his own words, he'll be ready for week one. Well, that means you might not be ready for camp. And then if you're not ready for camp, you can't do what Stefanski's trying to install and learn his offense. So it's like, oh man, it was like literally a range of emotions in like an hour and a half for us. So now we're back to reality. We will need to get some bum quarterback to hold the fort for like a couple of weeks. Sounds like.
Yeah, Day-Day, again, and part one is out there. We'll play a little bit of it for you as he talked to Michael Penix today. And what you think, man? I mean, look, I'm hoping for the best, but I'm also knowing how these setbacks and things happen. And it's just, look, it's inevitable that, they go, well, he's not going to be ready when we thought he was. I am, in my mind, that's what I'm implanting in my head right now. What about you?
Yeah, same. I mean, after Zach kind of came back and said, well, week one, to your point, it's kind of more like, all right, week one is still iffy, because my concern is just how ready is ready. And you're not going to know until he's actually doing the things that need to be done in terms of the running, the cutting, and how he handles impact. So we're really not going to know what that looks like. So what determines how ready he really is going to be? So I'm personally now, I'm kind of in the mindset of I prefer this whole thing and I quoted Zach Klein's tweet. I said, it's good to know that he's feeling good about a return. I don't want the process rushed. If the Falcons are confident that he is the quarterback of the future, I would much rather them have a heart-to-heart talk with Michael Penix Jr. and say, look, we're going to bring somebody in, and we're going to give you, and I know it wouldn't go over well with the fans, but if this is the quarterback of the future, there is absolutely no need to throw him out there in week one if he is 100% not ready to go. So I would prefer they figure out how they want to address who starts at quarterback, who starts under center, whether it's bringing in, someone, one of these, veteran quarterbacks from somewhere else. Do you look deep into the second and third round of the draft and say, okay, maybe there's a young kid that we could bring in that could potentially eventually be maybe even Michael Penix Jr.'s successor, or just someone that once they come up to speed, if things aren't going well with Michael Penix Jr., we feel comfortable. But I would much rather them just be cautious with this, man. Just be cautious.
Well, the other thing, Carl, and we got this yesterday, it's funny because I was accused, we were talking about this back a few weeks ago, we don't know what Penix Jr. is. And the guys are like, hey, man, he's going to be great. Today and yesterday, I got a lot of guys saying, you guys are being way too optimistic. This guy's got a long injury history. It was a bad pick, great kid, great arm. but it might not even pan out. Well, I'm not prepared to shut the door on Michael Penix Jr. either. I just don't know what he is, and we're just a little disappointed to get some false hope. But to Day-Day's point, you can't rush it back, especially with the injury history. So we will have to have that, I don't know, take your pick, Gardner Minshew type, or, there's that whole ilk of like those dudes, the Billy Zappies of the world, Jacoby Brissett's, and that's where we'll have to be. Unless, to Day-Day's point, if you bring in a guy, Carl, would you be interested even like paying the money for like a Malik Willis type?
Yes.
If he was on the market, or that would, create a little competition.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hoping, Mike, is not to bring in some bum, but bring in somebody who can maybe push Michael, not to the degree of him not starting, because you do need to see what he's got to do or what he's going to look like. But let me say this. I don't know if it was a bad pick, Mike. I know we disagree on this. It was mismanaged. If you play Penix from the start, what does this look like and how much more development would he have received? So it's not that it was a bad pick, but the plan in which they laid out for us at the time was flawed because you were trying to stay the course with Kirk Cousins. And we're rehashing old stuff, guys. But the reality is that's how I look at this Penix thing.
Right.
I don't think it's a bad pick until he fails. If he never takes us to where we need to go, is always injury prone, and 4 years from now we go, man, what a bust. And I hope that's not the case. Then it becomes a bad pick. Right now, it is the inconsistency of him playing consistently that makes us wonder what the hell he is. And that's not making him a bad pick. That's just saying, I need to see more of him. And they screwed that up within the first year. So I hope Stefanski, they have a plan, however this is going to go. But it is interesting that everybody is more concerned, I think, now than they were prior to this injury, right? And it's just what it is. The injury put a little bit more oomph on, oh, crap, this dude better pan out. And look, as much as we've talked about Pitts, Mike, and Day-Day, God forbid if this doesn't work out, right? I mean, like, I just feel like, again, this is where the real evaluation is going to go on. Stefanski, the new general manager, and Matt have to realize we may be in the quarterback business again in 2 years. And if we are, how do we guard ourselves against that? And that's not a slide against Penix, guys. If we end up taking a quarterback to Day-Day's point, third, fourth round, you're rolling the dice, but the organization is telling you we're not going to get caught with our pants down. We are trying to prepare for the future. Whether that guy's good or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, like you said, it goes back to just, that's the argument. Just don't sign Cousins. Let Penix cook, see what you got. But right now, he's just this much further than J.J. McCarthy because of the injury.
I got an idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I got an idea.
What's that?
Take Pavia since he's willing to die for the team. Just let him take all the blows until Penix is ready.
I mean, somebody's gonna take a flyer on this cat. He's gonna be. He's gonna be because it just the way he handled his ass. He showed his ass after losing the Heisman, but I mean, it doesn't make him into Johnny. It's not like he's out there like, yeah, man. He's not Johnny Football. He's got a chip on his shoulder and he's a bit of a wise ass. He can still be a success, and I think that the extra half inch we'll see because Kyler Murray got a chance to play. We did a whole litany of all the short quarterbacks have had success in the NFL, but that's the stigma, Carl. Hand size, too short.
Yeah, he is short. Look, but here's the problem, Day-Day, and I say this: whatever team gets him, it's a Shador effect. Mm-hmm. Teams and media are gonna not teams, but media is gonna want to talk to Diego Pavia more than they do the starter because they know they can get something out of him. And then when you're a backup or a third team guy, you should be talking to the media because you're not starting on Sundays. And that becomes the issue you're going to face when you draft a guy like this because he's outspoken. And the media's like, yo, I'll get Diego to say something about it. And he will. And he's not starting. He's not showing out for you. So, but that would be interesting, man. Hey, let's talk about the Hawks, guys. It's our Behind the Curtain show. Big O is not here, but he'll be there for the show today. Day-Day, Mike, and I, 2 o'clock on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. Hawks, big win last night. And I got to be honest. Every now and then I'll flip to see what the score is. Mm-hmm. And last night I looked and it was like, okay, is this right? They were up big, guys, early and really never looked back.
Up 20 after the first. And everybody was working, man. If you didn't see it last night, a good balance of minutes. McCollum with 13 points. Kennard actually, 4 of 7. But the big dog, of course, was Jalen Johnson with 19 and Nickeil Alexander-Walker with 21. Dyson Daniels, we talked about him losing his shot, getting his shot back. And then the big story was Okongo. I think it was Jaylen Brown. Pow! Hit him with the elbow, and it was like NHL time. He's going to need a whole new grill, man. I know what that's like. These are all calves from rugby. So I got a guy if he needs. But, yeah, man, he stayed in the game. He didn't quit. He got back out there. It was a big bloody mess. But they showed toughness. And I thought the refs, Boston fans were screaming about the refs. Give me a freaking break. How many times have we taken it in the shorts with the officials this year?
Oh, no doubt. It was a nice payback game, Day. I thought from what the Celtics did to us week previous down here, to go up there and handle business the way they did, that was a nice get back.
Yeah, it definitely was. And it was just good to see, again, this team be able to compete. I know Boston is not who they normally are without, Jason Tatum on the court, but they still had, Jaylen Brown. And, it was just good to see them show the toughness, the grit, and the defense that you need to see from them. And, again, I like where we're at. Tonight's going to be interesting, both them and Houston coming in off back-to-backs. I think Houston's is probably a little more going to be a little more taxing on them because they're coming from Texas, whereas the Hawks, it was a much shorter trip home for them last night. So hopefully they can kind of get the advantage in that. But, yeah, man, great win, 4 in a row. Jalen Johnson, 31 double-doubles now this season. So he's either in the lead or tied with Cat, I believe, for the most double-doubles this season.
Yeah, he's having a really good year, man. We'll see what the All-Star voting looks like. Again, who knows? There have been years where we thought Trey should have been an All-Star. He got snubbed. And I think Trey's brand is just bigger because he's been in the playoffs. Jalen hasn't. But we'll see what the NBA thinks about Jalen and, how they view his game so far. All right, man, big show today, 2 o'clock. As we mentioned, Brad goes in. We're going to talk some college football. We will continue our conversation about the Falcons. By the way, no update again as we speak right now. It's 11:20ish or so on the general manager's job. But Mike and I said yesterday, we think they probably have their finalist group. Whether that's 3 or 4, who knows? And I think they're working through that, Mike. And I think we get to next week before the Super Bowl. I think they make this hire, and then we get into the offseason after February 8th, where, again, Coach talked about, what was it, April 6th or so these guys can report because we got a new coach. So the NFL rules allow you with new coaches to come in a little bit earlier and the offseason, program starts. So it's not far off, but we got a lot of things to figure out. So I think this hire is going to take place. My guess is probably before the Super Bowl, which would be next week.
And the perception, fair or unfair, is always going to be that because it has taken so long and the coach has been established a little bit longer. Remember we went to Arthur Smith was hired before Fontenot, and turned out he got the first pick. He got my guy is going to be Pitts. So I don't want to read too much into it because Matt said he will let the general manager, have autonomy, let him cook. But the fans, it seems like the GM's become an afterthought. There's two ways of looking at it. You got too many great ideas, and you're trying to figure out this guy, that guy, or is really Matt's show, and Stefanski will have a big say in the personnel, even though they kind of demurred about it or deferred about it when they were asked at the press conference.
Yeah, look, I think, too, part of this is, and you might be right about that as far as how it's perceived, the GM, there is a lot of work that these guys do behind the scenes. Matt's not doing all that. There are things that the general manager is going to do in the building and even with phone calls and contacts. Matt's not doing all that. Like, Matt is literally going to come in for the big stuff, right? And that job is going to be important on many levels to Matt and to the head coach. But as far as the power scheme or the how that's going to look, the power, what do you call it, Mike? The
dynamic or the power structure, right? Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see. And look, if Stefanski, if we start getting players that kind of fit what he's been talking about, I think we'll have a little bit more that maybe he's got more power there. I would say this, and I'll put it this way. If I'm Kevin Stefanski and I'm coming to the Atlanta Falcons, and I just got screwed for 5 years by my previous owner for taking a chance with really not informing me about what was going on, I'm not taking another job where I'm not in the know.
Right.
I'm not taking another job where you guys come into the room and go, hey, by the way, we're about to make a big play. If we get it, great. If we don't, I know I wouldn't want to put myself in that situation again. Not saying he makes the decision, but at least be involved. Stefanski had zero involvement with the Deshaun Watson situation. It was Andrew Berry, the general manager. It was the owner. And so if you go back and watch the press conferences, even Stefanski at the damn press conference for Deshaun Watson, it's kind of like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. So either way, man, that's what I believe. But we'll get into it today, man. We got a lot to chop up. Make sure you're there at 2 at Sports Radio 92 on the Game. And again, we got a lot to get to. All right, we'll talk to you guys then.